From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Bursell. This is The Log as summer winds down. We are reviewing some old episodes in an effort to get some perspective on the fascist regime we now live under and must continue to fight. Well, let's see. In this episode, we've gone back to late April, early May for some segments, some mainstream voices for the first time talking about mass protests, disruptions, strikes, boycotts. All right, welcome to the club. But tough talk, as welcome as it is not enough, especially from Democratic office holders. You have power to do something. It's too late to just have a conversation. Well, we have to have a conversation. No. We don't have to have any more conversations. We need nuts and bolts. We need you to get out your wrench and put this thing together with the nuts and the bolts. All right. Well, those are the things we're going to talk about here in this episode. Clips from April 24th, 28th, and May 1st, episodes 524, 525, and 526. We start out with some media criticism. I think every news media platform needs to make a statement that goes something like this. The current administration is a rogue regime, and we make no pretense of presenting quote-unquote fair coverage of their lies and of their crimes. Every media platform, up to the largest national and international news media conglomerates, need to make a statement like that, either separately or even better, together. We don't recognize the Orange Menace and his regime as a legitimate government. And in all of our future coverage, that's going to be our framework. There aren't two sides to every story. There's no equivalence when one side is engaged in international crimes every damn day. We're not going to have two competing guests debate the issues, continue this charade, this lie. I can't quote the source right now, I'm sorry, but I heard a recent comprehensive academic study, I think it happened in Norway, that concluded that virtually all of the misinformation, all of the lies, all of the so-called fake news is coming from the far right. We can't pretend that's not the case and continue to have these both sides kind of coverage. Can't have it in the angle of your story. You can't have it when you present two so-called experts. No. What they call right and left is far-right craziness on one side and just a regular kind of center sane person on the other who they call left. It happened again just the other night on the NewsHour, PBS NewsHour. Chad Wolf from the America First Policy Institute was a guest on one of these, one person from the right, one person from the left. And I think the topic was transgender rights. The America First Policy Institute is radical. There's no way they belong on any fair news coverage. And yet the PBS NewsHour did it again. They keep doing this. Oh, no, wait. It wasn't a trans... Although the AFPI, American First Policy Institute, they're big on trans. This one was on the Gaza war and the lies that side continues with about how every war protester is a radical anti-Semite and supports terrorists. Of course it's a ridiculous lie. It's a ridiculous position that doesn't deserve airtime. So media, news outlets, tell everybody exactly where you are. We're not going to pretend anymore that there are two sides. The regime is incompetent. The regime is bigoted. The regime is mad with power. You can't debate incompetence. You can't debate bigotry. You can't debate a hurricane or a wildfire. You can't debate madness. Al Green spent, I'm not sure how long he was on the floor. He spent quite a while in what he called his countdown to impeachment. I guess he hasn't actually presented his papers yet, Al Green of Texas. But whenever I ask about impeachment, where are the articles of impeachment? People say, well, Al Green's taking care of that. Okay, well, do it. Because so far nobody has, except I was looking for it. The Libertarian Party of Travis County, Texas, passed a resolution calling for the impeachment of the Orange Menace. And Representative Shri Thanader, I don't know how to pronounce it, a Democrat of Michigan, tweeted that she supports impeachment. That's it. That's all we've had so far. We got to get serious. Because the courts can't save us if he defies the courts. And we can't wait for the midterms because based on the damage they've done in less than 100 days now, where are we, about 90 or so? Based on the damage so far, I'm not 100% sure we're going to have elections in 2026. And if we do have them, if they're not going to be completely rigged. That's just based on what we've seen so far and the trajectory that the regime is on. I want to point you to a website. It's very simple, impeachtrumpagain.org. Impeach Trump again. All one word, of course. .org. It's the case for impeachment, and it's in excellent detail. 17 headlines. And then with each category here, with each headline, there's a pretty comprehensive list of facts and links to documents. So I strongly encourage you to look at this, impeachtrumpagain.org. Send it to your representative. It's important that we don't give up, even though I admit it's a long shot. It's important that we don't give up on convincing enough Republicans who might yet still have a heart and a spine.
I'm getting pretty tired of the infighting of the Democratic Party. There are the David Hoggs of the world. He's the youngest member of the Democratic National Committee, the DNC. And then there are the Ken Martins of the world. He's the chairman, recently elected, of the DNC. And they're in a bit of a battle right now because David Hogg believes the Democratic Party should be the People's Party, that it shouldn't take corporate donations, that old, tired Democrats in Congress should be challenged in the primaries by either more progressive Democrats or by independents. This parallels with another fight the news media loves to cover, and that's Bernie and AOC out on their Stop Oligarchy tour, saying many of the same things. We have to have a vision for the future with some specific goals that speak to the wide swath of working Americans. Universal health care, tax the rich, stop the oligarchy, get money out of politics, all the things we talk about here. But then on the other side of that debate, you've got people like Alyssa Slotkin, a Democratic member of Congress, actively opposing Bernie and AOC, saying, no, we have to have a big tent. They don't want to fight for immigrants who are being wrongly abducted and human trafficked by our American Gestapo known as ICE. No, that issue isn't popular enough in the polling. We can't risk it. We'll just have to throw those people under the bus. Trans rights. No, it doesn't poll well enough. Throw all the trans people and trans kids under the bus. We need to build a big tent. Well, of course it's ridiculous. You don't sacrifice common decency. You don't sacrifice central moral values to build a bigger tent. Now, building a bigger tent is a useful metaphor when you're talking about a coalition to defeat the Orange Menace and the regime. We've often talked about that on this program. Very happy to build a coalition, but that only works to defeat the Orange Menace as it did with Joe Biden in 2020. So in that sense, fine, build a bigger tent. But the problem with this metaphor is it suggests another 4 years, like we just saw, of getting very little done. Now I know you want to talk about Biden's achievements, and I've talked about them myself. But any achievements that he made are far outweighed by the failings. and primarily the failing to keep the regime at bay, to keep fascism from continuing its creep and ultimate victory, and now its rampage. To be advocating for that again, knowing what we know, is so wrong. Just build a bigger tent that doesn't really get anything done? Sure, stopping fascism in the United States, great, but it's not enough. Make America normal again? I've actually heard people say that. I mean, they say it seriously, thinking that that's some big selling point. Well, of course we want that, but it is absolutely not enough. And it may be enough to win again in 2026 and 2028, but it won't solve the problem. It may be enough to win one election or two elections, but it's not enough to govern. And it's definitely not enough to meet the problems that the nation faces. So any debate with Bernie, AOC, and David Hogg on one side, and the likes of Alyssa Slotkin, Gavin Newsom, Ken Martin, I'll add people like the totally unacceptable John Fetterman. Yeah, you know what side of that debate I'm going to be on. So lose this bigger tent metaphor. It's no way to elect a government. It's no way to govern. The better metaphor is build a better mousetrap. Those are your competing metaphors. Think of it this way. Bigger tent or better mousetrap. That's what we need, because to build a better mousetrap, well, then it's about the product. Bigger tent has nothing to do with the product. And by product, of course, in politics, in government, well, it's policy. What policies are you going to not only propose, but what are you going to fight for? And in the end, show some ability to get it done. So that's the product we want. That's the product we have to sell. And we don't sell it just by building a bigger tent. That's not selling a product. That's just inviting everybody in to have the same old fights. And you wind up with this mushy, centrist, get-nothing-done result. David Hogg and Bernie and AOC, they want to build a better mousetrap. They're proposing specific policies. Tax the rich, universal health care, student debt forgiveness, election reform, a better product. Yeah, a much better metaphor. Building a better mousetrap. To invent something, create something that's better than what came before. It's better than what already exists. With the idea then that people will follow. People will come to you. It's not just about salesmanship. It's not just about inclusion. It's about building a product that people want. And one that actually works. One that is better, superior to what came before. That's what Team Bernie is offering. That's what Team Hogg and Team AOC are offering. The establishment Democrats, Alyssa Slotkin, Gavin Newsom, Ken Martin, et al., are asking you to believe that the same old formula of watered-down political flailing, just treading water for another election cycle, creating more discontent, righteous discontent, I might add, by the voters, who then turn to the next con artist telling them what they want to hear. Because now, as it's been well established for over 10 years, and 2 election wins, the MAGA regime has been able to convince people that they're on their side, at least enough people to get elected. So as you go about your political life, whether you're out in the streets or you're running for office or you're just sitting around the kitchen table with family and friends, try out this competing metaphor argument on them. Do we want a bigger tent or do we want a better mousetrap? I think the clear case to be made is for a better mousetrap. I want to give you some information, key resources for Know Your Rights training. Know Your Rights training. Just a few places you can go for toolkits and training materials. The first, the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, ILRC, offers a comprehensive Know Your Rights toolkit, including printable red cards in 19 languages, family preparedness plans, handouts, tutorial videos, and a step-by-step guide for holding community presentations. They also provide webinars in English and Spanish for both community members and advocates who want to train others. Next, the Civil Liberties Defense Center, CLDC. The CLDC provides tailored Know Your Rights trainings for activists, immigrants, youth, and more. Each training comes with a PowerPoint presentation and can be recorded for later use. They offer materials in multiple languages and formats for various audiences. Catholic Legal Immigration Network, Inc. supplies wallet cards, flyers, and guides on rights during law enforcement encounters at work and in schools. Materials are available in several languages and can be customized for community outreach. United We Dream provides scenario-based guides for encounters with immigration agents at home or in public, including preparedness plans and tips for asserting your rights, presentation and workshop support. And of course, the ACLU. I'm a proud card-carrying member. They have affiliates in many states. ACLU offers online and in-person Know Your Rights presentations, as well as easy-to-use informational resources for the general public and specific groups. They also have a variety of topic-specific resources. The Higher Ed Immigration Portal and President's Alliance. They compile resources on workplace rights, protest and civic participation, travel, detention, and more, tailored for students, workers, and community members. There's also something called United We Dream. You can use scenario-based guides from United We Dream to make trainings practical and relevant. So there you go, just to get you started, some good resources there. From what I know, they're regularly updated, so get the latest. They're available in multiple languages. Know Your Rights. Whether you're out on the street protesting, at work, in school, at church, or what you thought to be the safety of your own home, wherever you are, be prepared. So, recently, I'm beginning to hear some pretty tough talk. Robert Reich, I'm never sure how to pronounce that. He's a former Clinton cabinet secretary of labor, university professor, and one of the good guys. He's one of the better voices out there. His commentary has substance. He's precise. He's a policy wonk. He knows what he's talking about. He's sufficiently lefty. But even Robert Reich went to a place I hadn't heard before. He's calling for mass mobilization. He doesn't usually talk like this. Americans must be mobilized into such a huge wave of anger and disgust that members of the House are compelled to impeach Trump for the third time, and enough senators are moved to finally convict him. Well, that's exactly what you and I have been talking about as far as impeachment goes. Compelled to impeach Trump. That's just what we were saying. We can't ask them to do it. We can't hope they're going to grow a spine. We can't just wish that they see the light. No, we have to give them no choice. That's exactly what you and I have said. And now we've got Robert Reich with us. So good for him. And good for the movement. Maybe things are happening. Mentioned a couple weeks ago, New York Times columnist David Brooks is calling for strikes and boycotts. Conservative columnist David Brooks agrees with us that the time is now for massive strikes and boycotts to force the issue. So there are voices out there, pretty mainstream voices, who are finally getting it. And after a quick little I told you so, we say, well, welcome aboard. The one getting all the headlines, everybody's just in a dither about Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who gave this very fiery speech in New Hampshire, so obviously he's running for president. Quote, "Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now." That's J.B. Pritzker, billionaire governor of Illinois, calling for mass protests, mobilization, disruption. Welcome aboard. I'm going to see this as good news. I'm not going to be cynical about how late they are to the game here. It's about damn time. I'm not going to be cynical about, maybe they just feel they have no choice. They have to say these things to get attention, to get elected. But, J.B. Pritzker getting lots of attention for this speech, calling on Democrats to be bold and our ideas fearless. We must deliver on an agenda for working families and for the real people who truly make America great. And no specifics. He did mention at the top of his speech a couple of things that he did in Illinois. Things like paid family leave and codifying reproductive rights, some good things. But in most of the speech here that he's getting all this attention for, it was because he was, kind of angry and righteous about it. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box. They must feel in their bones that when we survive this shameful episode of American history with our democracy intact, because we have no alternative but to do just that we will relegate their portraits to the museum halls reserved for tyrants and traitors. So, okay, good for J.B. Pritzker. I have no criticism of any of that. But still, because he's a capital D Democrat, he still can't say what needs to be said. Because right on the heels of castigating MAGA, you need to move immediately to what you'll do instead. Did he say anything about universal health care? No. See, this is where he should have gone back to what he mentioned at the top of his speech and talk about things like paid family leave, about codifying Roe. He mentioned them just briefly, almost in passing at the beginning, like he was almost embarrassed about it. Come back to it. Highlight it. Gun safety laws, election reform. See, that's what I didn't hear. That's where he stopped short. So, J.B. Pritzker, welcome to the fight rhetorically, but you're a governor and you're a billionaire. As a governor and a billionaire, your words carry some weight. You're going to get more attention. Good, fine. So thank you for your words. But as a governor and a billionaire, you have power that I don't have, that most of us don't have. Use that power. That's exactly what I told Gwen Moore when I had the chance to talk to her a few weeks ago. We have our job to yell and go out and protest and carry signs and write letters, but you have your job, which is different than mine. You're a member of Congress. You have powers that we don't have. Use them. So, J.B. Pritzker, good for you, I guess, as far as it went. And welcome to at least to the I'm Mad as Hell Club. I think it was a little better than the little sit-in that Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker held on the steps of the Capitol. I don't know. I shouldn't complain. I should just be happy that people are doing something. But I don't know. Did you see this? The two of them, Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker, sat, just the two of them, alone on the steps of the Capitol with a camera and a couple of microphones and announced they were having a sit-in and talked about the issues. And then slowly people would join them and take turns on the mic. And they were there for like
I think the whole thing was about like 12 hours. They were there all day into the night. And by the time it was over, at some point, there were, 100 people. I didn't hear the count. Having a sit-in. And, I've been calling for sit-ins, but I didn't quite get this one. A sit-in should disrupt. You have a sit-in inside somebody's office, in the lobby of some government entity or corporation where you disrupt business. This was just quietly out on the steps of the Capitol for tourists to walk by and join you for a little while. It was kind of silly. At this point, just getting some attention or voicing our concerns or, my favorite, having a conversation. Well, we have to have a conversation about this. I don't know. I'm not sure where to land on this. Thanks for caring. Thanks for doing something, but my God, you're members of Congress. You have powers that I don't have. I could sit on the Capitol steps and talk with people on a microphone. Billy Eichner could do it. Do something that we can't do. Use your power. Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, made a couple of the late night monologues because you know what he did? He wrote a harsh letter to the White House. Oh, yes, he wrote a letter asking some very tough questions. Licked the stamp himself, put it right on that envelope, and mailed it. Chuck Schumer wrote a letter to the White House. Come on, you guys. Get serious. And they still have the same answer when you ask them. The same answer that Gwen Moore had. Well, the people have to rise up. Yeah, of course we do. We're doing it. We're demanding that you do the right thing. You can't just turn it around and point back at us and say, well, it's up to you. You're the people. The power of the people. They make it sound so profound. Where are the nuts and bolts of this? It's not all just messaging and optics and conversations. And talk about optics. Having a little picnic on a beautiful spring day on the steps of the Capitol with your shirt sleeves rolled up. That's not optics. Bobby Kennedy in 1968 going to Appalachia. That was optics. Martin Luther King leading marches, speaking to hundreds of thousands of people in Washington, not 95 tourists who happen to walk by the steps as you're sitting outside with your little portable podcast gear. Come on, you guys. Where's your letter from Birmingham jail? You've been listening to a best-of episode of The Log featuring clips from April 24th, 28th, and May 1st, episodes 524, 525, and 526. Find all episodes at the website, charlespurcell.com, or on your favorite podcast platform. Follow on Substack and Blue Sky. Thanks to our home station, River West Radio in Milwaukee. Peter Donalds wrote and performed our theme song. All right, I love you. See you out there.